For many on a spiritual path, the journey begins with a deep, persistent feeling of disconnection, a sense that a more vibrant world exists just out of reach. Then, one day, that feeling can lift. The third eye, as many traditions call it, is said to open, and nothing is the same again. This isn't merely about seeing a few lights or having a gut feeling. It's described as an experience of cosmic visions, profound downloads of information, and a total shift in how one sees everything. This is a deep dive into what that experience is reported to be like in the days, weeks, and months that follow. To understand the shift, one must first understand the state that precedes it. Life may not be bad, but it can feel muted, like watching a movie in black and white when it was filmed in brilliant color. One can have a successful career, good friends, and go through all the motions of a happy life. Yet underneath it all, a nagging feeling can persist, a kind of spiritual homesickness. This can lead to wrestling with questions few seem to be asking. What is consciousness? Are we just these bodies? What is the point of it all? That existential restlessness can become a powerful fuel, leading one down a path of intense spiritual seeking. This isn't just meditating for 10 minutes here and there. It's an immersive study of ancient texts, breathwork, and long, silent meditation. The goal becomes simple: to know, not just believe, that there is more to reality than what the five senses reveal. The practice becomes a ritual. Every morning before sunrise and every night before bed, one might sit focusing on the space between the eyebrows, a point many spiritual traditions associate with the Ajna chakra, or the third eye. In these philosophies, the third eye is a symbolic gateway to higher consciousness. This point is often linked to the pineal gland, a tiny gland deep in the center of the brain. While neuroscience has established the pineal gland's primary function is producing melatonin to regulate sleep, many spiritual traditions view it as the physical anchor to our spiritual sight. This focused intention, this deep curiosity, can be held for months. There might be flickers, pressure on the forehead, and moments of intense peace, but nothing can prepare someone for the day the floodgates finally open. The breakthrough often happens on a totally ordinary day. Deep in meditation, the mind can become unusually still. The familiar pressure between the eyebrows may start to build, but this time it's different. Not a gentle push, but an intense, vibrating energy. It isn't described as painful, but as completely overwhelming. Suddenly, with a feeling that can only be described as a silent, internal crack, a flash of brilliant indigo light is said to explode behind closed eyelids. It's not like seeing a light in a dark room. It is as if the darkness itself becomes light. That light consumes all awareness. In that moment, the sense of me, the name, the story, the body sitting there, is reported to simply dissolve. There is no experiencer of the light. There is only the light, an ocean of pure consciousness. Then come what are often called the downloads. This is not a voice or words, but an instant transmission of knowing. Concepts that would take a lifetime to study are simply understood. The interconnectedness of everything ceases to be a nice idea and becomes a felt reality. The universe is perceived not as a collection of separate things, but as a single, vibrating, intelligent being. A sense of love so profound is felt that it is not an emotion, but the very fabric of existence. When awareness slowly trickles back into the body, hours may have passed, though it can feel like an eternity and no time at all. Upon opening one's eyes, the world is not the same one that was there before. The veil is gone. In its place is a reality far more complex, beautiful, and terrifying than ever imagined. The days and weeks that follow are often disorienting, but they are also filled with discovery. The experience is not a one-and-done event. It is a permanent shift in one's perceptual operating system. It's not something that can simply be turned off. One must learn to live with it. For many, the aftermath unfolds in three distinct stages. First, the basic perception of reality changes. The world becomes intensely vibrant. Colors aren't just colors, they seem to have a life force of their own. Looking at a tree, one might perceive not just its physical shape, but its energetic blueprint. Some also begin to see what can only be described as subtle fields of light around people and living things. Luminous, colorful clouds that seem to shift with a person's emotions. With eyes closed, intricate, moving geometric patterns may appear, a constant light show reminding that another layer of perception has opened. Second, intuition can transform from a vague gut feeling to something with surgical precision. People report just knowing things like who is calling before the phone rings with absolute certainty. A sudden insight into a complex problem at work may arrive that turns out to be the perfect solution. This is also a heightened sensitivity that some call clairsentience, clearly feeling the emotional states of others. Walking into a room, one might feel the leftover energy of an argument that happened hours prior. This newfound sensitivity is both a gift and a major challenge, as crowded places can become an overwhelming storm of emotional noise. Third, some begin to have what can only be interpreted as cosmic visions and a connection to a universal consciousness. These aren't daydreams but vivid, symbolic experiences during meditation or sleep. There can be glimpses into what feel like past lives, not as stories, but as powerful emotional lessons connected to challenges in this life. A feeling of being in the world but not of it can arise. It's a strange and sometimes lonely feeling of watching the human drama play out with a sense of detached love while still being part of it. The fear of death often vanishes, replaced by a core certainty that consciousness continues, and this life is just one chapter in a much bigger story. Having an experience like this isn't the finish line, it's the starting line of a completely new journey. The initial aftermath can be jarring, leaving one feeling ungrounded, overly sensitive, and even scared by the intensity of it all. It is quickly learned that grounding is non-negotiable. Walking barefoot on the earth, spending time in nature, and eating nourishing food are no longer just wellness tips. They become essential practices for anchoring an expanded awareness in the physical body. One has to learn how to create energetic boundaries to navigate the world without being drained, and to differentiate between true intuitive insight and the chatter of the mind. This is the real work that begins after the cinematic awakening, the daily process of integrating this new awareness into a normal life, of learning how to be a bridge between the spiritual and the material. It is a path that requires immense self-responsibility. Once certain things are seen, they cannot be unseen. This new awareness cuts through illusions, both in society and within oneself. The little white lies, the ways one is not being authentic, the ways one has been playing small, they all become painfully obvious. And a choice presents itself. Shrink back in fear or step up and align life with this deeper truth. For those who undergo this transformation, life can become unrecognizable. The ache of disconnection is replaced by a quiet, solid sense of purpose and connection to everything. The journey isn't easy, and it isn't for everyone, but for many, it is the journey their soul needed to take, a journey back to themselves. This description is a synthesis of many accounts, but everyone's path is different. The opening of spiritual perception is a deeply personal and sacred thing. If you've had a similar experience, if you've felt that pressure between your brows, or had a moment where the veil thinned, consider sharing your story in the comments. Let's create a space for sharing and mutual support. For those on this path looking to deepen their own connection, a guided meditation that has been central to many such practices is linked in the description. Thank you for being here. Remember, you are so much more than you think you are.